$3.2 million. The guy ahead of you in line just complained about the price of eggs. You said nothing. You put your $12 grocery items on the belt. You paid. You walked out. Nobody in that store had any idea. The cashier did not know. The person behind you did not know. The person who complained about eggs did not know that the man who nodded sympathetically at their grocery bill has $3.2 million sitting in accounts they will never see. You drive home in the same car you have driven for 9 years. You park in the same spot. You make the same coffee. This is what it actually looks like. Not the yacht. Not the house in a neighborhood that signals something. Not the watch that starts conversations. This is what multi-millionaire actually looks like when nobody is performing it for anyone. The morning. It is a Wednesday. You wake up at 6:43 because your body wakes up at 6:43. Not because of an alarm, not because of a meeting, because this is when you wake up and the morning belongs to you before it belongs to anything else. You make coffee in the same kitchen you have made coffee in for 7 years. The kitchen is fine, not impressive. The counters are the counters that were here when you moved in. You have thought about renovating. You have not renovated, not because you cannot afford it. Because the kitchen works and the money it would cost to make it look different has a better use, and somewhere along the way you stopped caring what the kitchen communicates to other people. You check the accounts, not with anxiety, as a habit. The same way someone checks the weather, not because anything dramatic is expected, but because it is information that orients the day. The number is what it was yesterday, plus the overnight movement of the market. You close the app, you make a second cup of coffee, you sit by the window for 11 minutes and watch the neighborhood wake up. Nobody walking past your window knows. That is not a secret you are keeping. That is simply the design of a life that was never built to be visible. The grocery store. Here's the thing nobody tells you about having significant wealth that nobody can see. You still notice prices, not because you have to, because the habit of noticing prices was built over years of needing to notice prices, and the habit does not disappear when the need does. You still look at the total at the checkout. You still register when something costs more than it did 6 months ago. You still make the same mental calculation at the gas pump that you made when you were 26, and the margin between fine and not fine was thinner than you ever want to feel again. The difference is not that you stop noticing. The difference is what the noticing means now. When the price of eggs goes up, it registers as information, not threat, not arithmetic dread, just a data point that passes through without landing anywhere. The man ahead of you in line cannot tell the difference between your response and his. You both acknowledged the price. You both paid. You both walked out. His acknowledgement carried weight. Yours did not. From the outside, identical. That is the invisible architecture of this kind of wealth. Not what you have, how it changes the weight of what you notice. The meeting. You still work. Not because you have to. Because you decided that the version of yourself that stops doing something useful is not a version you want to inhabit. That decision will not make sense to everyone. You have stopped trying to explain it. You are in a meeting at 2 o'clock, a Tuesday meeting about a Wednesday problem, the kind of meeting that would have felt urgent 4 years ago. It does not feel urgent now, not because you are checked out. You are present. You contribute. You say the things that move the conversation forward. You are good at this work and you know it, but something is different about how you sit in the room. Before, this meeting and the outcome of this meeting had a specific gravity. If the project failed, there were consequences that reached into your personal finances. You would sit in meetings like this with a background hum of stakes that shaped every response. Now the project can fail. It would be disappointing. It would not be a threat. That background hum is gone. What replaced it is harder to describe. Not confidence exactly, not arrogance. Something quieter. The specific quality of presence that comes from being in a room because you chose to be in the room. Not because the room holds something you cannot afford to lose. Your manager says something slightly unreasonable. You note it. You respond professionally. You say the thing that needed to be said. You do not swallow it. Nobody in the meeting notices that anything has shifted. You notice. That is enough. What people assume. People assume wealth looks like something. A neighborhood, a car, a watch with a specific weight on the wrist, a vacation that appears in someone's feed tagged with the name of a place that functions as a signal. They are not wrong that wealth can look like those things. They are wrong that wealth always looks like those things, or that the people who have those things are the people with the most of it. The person in the expensive car might have a payment that takes 14% of their take-home income every month. The person in the paid-off 9-year-old car parked in the ordinary spot in the ordinary neighborhood might have $3.2 million that nobody has ever photographed because there is nothing to photograph. You have had people feel sorry for you, not dramatically, subtly, The way people feel sorry for someone who seems like they never quite caught the wave everyone else was riding. The coworker who asked, genuinely kindly, if you were happy with where things were going. The family member who mentioned a job opportunity they heard about. The friend who did not invite you to something because they assumed you could not afford it. You said nothing. There was nothing useful to say. The pity was based on a picture that was never accurate. Correcting it would require a conversation you did not want to have about a number that was never their business. So you let them assume, and the assumption was so far from the truth that it almost became a kind of privacy, a shell around the actual thing, built not by design but by the simple fact that what you built never looked like what people expected it to look like. The real thing. Here's what $3.2 million actually feels like from the inside. Not the number. The number is just a number. It sits in accounts. It moves with the market. It is a fact of your financial life the way your shoe size is a fact of your physical life. Accurate, stable, largely irrelevant to most of what happens in a given day. What it actually feels like is the absence of certain things. The absence of the background arithmetic. The constant low-level calculation that used to run beneath every decision. Can I afford this? What happens if I cannot? How many months do I have before a bad event becomes a crisis? That arithmetic is gone, not replaced by certainty. Nothing is certain, but by a buffer that is large enough that the arithmetic has nothing to calculate. The absence of certain kinds of fear. The call that used to feel like a possible emergency. The unexpected expense. The job that might go away. The thing that costs more than expected. Those calls still come. They just land differently. They are logistics now, not threats. The absence of needing certain rooms. You do not need to be in the room that has the approval in it. You do not need the specific conversation with the specific person who holds a specific outcome. You can leave a room that is not working. You can say no to a table that costs something you are not willing to pay. That last one is the one most people underestimate. It is not what the money buys. It is the rooms it lets you leave. That is what $3.2 million actually feels like from the inside on a Wednesday morning. The close. The man who complained about the price of eggs has a picture of what wealthy looks like. He is not wrong that picture exists. He is wrong that it is the only picture. Or even the most common one. The most common version of serious wealth in America is not the version that announces itself. It is the version that sits in accounts and moves with the market and never gets photographed because there is nothing to photograph. It belongs to people who stopped caring, gradually, not dramatically, what the externals communicated to anyone else. Not because they became indifferent to beauty or comfort or experience, because they understood at some point that the things that signal wealth and the things that build it are frequently pulling in opposite directions. You drive home, same car, same route, same parking spot. You sit down, same kitchen, same coffee, same window. $3.2 million. Unchanged by the grocery store. Unchanged by the meeting. Unchanged by anyone's assumption about the car in the parking spot. The accounts are running. Nobody walking past the window knows. That is not a problem to solve. That is the whole design. This video described the feeling. The next one covers the math, not the shortcuts, not the windfall. The specific account structure, index funds, contribution schedule, timeline that gets an ordinary income to a number that changes how you sit in rooms. If that is the video you want, subscribe. It goes up this week. If something in this one felt familiar, drop a word in the comments. One word that describes what you are building toward. Options, invisible, quiet, free, gone. Each one means something different. I read every one. I will see you in the next one.